have a positive note coming up, which surprising coming from the person who likes the show, and I feel like I have to constantly defend the show because of the movie. But I have a positive note coming up. I think. What's your next note?
Okay, so my next note is when the prince and his uncle the nice uncle, are talking, and he's like, "There's lots of pretty girls here. You should fall in love," and which kind of comes out of the blue, but he's a really weird character, so you kind of get used to it after a while. But
I was gonna say he's not weird in the show. He is. He's just a better type of weird. Makes more sense type of weird. But yeah he's weird in both.
So he tells the prince guy is like, "I have to regain my honor," and all this stuff. And he brings this little boy over, which we kind of talked about that scene. He brings this little boy over, and he's like, what do you know about the prince? And this little boy starts telling him a story. Turns out he stood up for his friends because against the general, his dad got mad, and he got challenged to some sort of one-on-one fight,
which they call an Agni Ki in the movie. And in the show it's an Agni Kai. Small pronunciation adjustment, but yes, he does get challenged to a duel.
I didn't catch on to what it was called at all. I was just like, okay, it's clearly a one-on-one fight.
Yes, it's an Agni Kai, not Agni Ki.
And it turns out that his dad is going to be the one that he's fighting against. And I don't know if it was like a fight to the death or if it was to yield or what, but it doesn't really explain that.
Agni Kai is typically to the death.
Okay, so he's supposed to kill his dad, or his dad is going to kill him. He refuses to fight his dad, and the dad makes fun of him, mocks him, and then burns him.
To teach him a lesson.
And then they introduce the sister at that point of like, maybe I should have your sister come out and fight instead. So this kid is clearly very traumatized, and his dad is. But like, honestly, from the first moment that you see this kid, when he's like, "I am the heir to the fire throne," I'm like, oh my gosh, you are like Sorsha. You are clearly not going to stay evil for long. Like,
you have to explain who Sorsha is for those who don't know.
So Sorsha, if you've never seen Willow, big spoiler, sorry. Willow is a Ron Howard film starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer, in which the evil bad guy's daughter changes sides very suddenly.
Sorsha.
And she literally is very proud. She's a warrior and very proud of the fact that she is the daughter of the evil person. And then all of a sudden, like, she's not. And I was just like, wow, that's like exactly you are, yeah. you are not going to stay evil, I can tell you that right now. Which towards the end he's not completely evil, he just kind of runs away, but
he stays evil for a little longer in the show.
Yeah,
a little longer,
but he's never like completely evil. And then with this particular speech, when it's like, yeah, I was standing up for my friends, I was like, yeah, you're not even kind of evil anymore. You're just like traumatized evil. You are a product of bad parenting.
Oh, you only see like an eighth of the bad parenting in the movie. Oh, in the show you get so much more.
Well, and that was another thing about the conversation with the king and the commander, is like, the king he's in a kids movie and he just, I don't know, it never connects with me like that. Yeah. He's evil. He doesn't come off evil. He doesn't come off bad. And then when his son is talking about how he burned him just to make a point and then banished him for standing up to a general when he's the prince, you know, it doesn't connect at all, because the person that he's talking, like, I kind of wish they would never have like shown the king, because honestly he doesn't do anything important,
and you don't see him in the first series. You hear his voice, you kind of see outlines, but you don't see him for a really long time. He stays this very mysterious, dark, evil figure for a long time in the show.
And I think he should have, like, I think we should have seen him in the flashback, and that was pretty much it. He didn't really do anything else the entire movie, except for at the very end, like after everything is done. And those are the only two scenes. Like, I think the flashback and that scene are really the only times that we actually need to see the king, because One, it would make the bad guy more mysterious. It would make it more threatening. It would make the Fire Nation more threatening because they're really having a hard time with being threatening in this movie because they keep going back and forth on how bad they are. And if they had kept up the mystique of the Fire Lord, you know, it would have been more creepy. It would have been more fear-inducing, and it would have been a greater threat, and the stakes would have been higher, and you wouldn't be like, what is this cheese all over my war movie? You know. So that is my thought, is just take him out except for in the flashback and at the very ending scene. So now I have a huge complaint that comes along with the lines of Star Wars and our complaints about episode 8, in the fact that what the pointlessness
of which part?
Of him going to that temple and talking to the dragon.
They do a really bad oh my gosh.
Okay.
I had the note. They never explain, here it is, never explain who the dragon spirit is. Okay.
That doesn't even matter. Like, here's the thing. So first of all, the note that I took was like, he's like, I need to talk to the dragon. Because when he's at the air temple, he has a vision with the dragon spirit.
But that's not what it is in the show. Sorry.
Yeah.
You say your complaints and then I'll say what happens in the show.
Okay. So he had, like, they're at the air temple. That's when he figures out that all of his friends and family are dead and he's been gone for 100 years. And he, this dragon spirit, and they've kind of talked about the spirits. I was really confused about what the heck the spirits were. Clearly you can go to like spiritual places and you can communicate with the spirits, but it's pretty much just the avatar that does that. Other people can kind of, but it doesn't really make sense.
In the movie only the avatar can.
Yeah, he's like the connection between the spirit world and the regular world.
Yes.
And so he wants to go to this other, like, so they're on this trek and they've apparently not, they didn't show us that they've been saving villages, but apparently they've been saving villages along this trek. And the brother and the sister are like trying to help him, and he can't concentrate on learning waterbending, even though they have this waterbending scroll that's trying to help him. He's not concentrating, so he needs to go to he personally wants to go to the dragon spirit, like he wants to go to this spiritual place where he can talk to the dragon spirit again. And the brother is like, you know, the sister comes to the brother and is like asking the brother, like, can we take a detour from our mission to go to this spiritual place? And the brother's like, no, you should talk him out of it. The very next scene is him trying to waterbend. It's not working. He jumps on the flying bison and flies away. And then the brother is like, your talk didn't work. And it's like, she never talked to him. She never had a conversation with him. Literally the next cut scene is him leaving like while they're asleep. And by the way, they sit up in like exactly the same time, and it's like, come on guys, like, it just, clearly they weren't sleeping, I don't know. And then why didn't they go with him? Like, I really hate this trope, and it's the same thing in Star Wars. Somebody has a vision, they want to follow it, and people are like, no. Like, ugh, it's so annoying.
You want people to be able to follow their visions.
But then, in this movie, he goes on this side quest that is completely pointless. He goes there, he finds out a little bit about the avatars of the past. He talks to the dragon, or he gets captured first. He gets betrayed and captured. Then he talks to the dragon, and guess what the dragon tells him?
I can't even remember. What does the dragon tell him?
So they're on a quest to the Northern Water Tribe.
Does it tell him to learn water next?
No, he tells them to go to the Northern Water Tribe. Like, he literally stopped his quest to the Northern Water Tribe to take time out to talk to this dragon who tells him to go to the Northern Water Tribe.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't remember. I was taking notes about other stuff.
I was just literally, this entire side quest was him being told to do what he was already doing. Why did they not cut this episode out? Like, what happens in this episode that is so important? We see the avatars of the past, and there's this big temple with all of the statues of them.
Yes.
We could have done that at any other point. Probably.
Yes.
Like, you could have just moved that to the air temple that he sees in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could have just started there. and been like, these are the avatars of the past. They're reborn, and like had an info dump of that information, because that would be an info dump, like explanatory thing that would actually make sense that it was an info dump, not a scene. But instead they made it a scene, and they made it a long drawn out scene where he's like battling these people. Then he gets captured, he's taken, he's chained up. The bad guy, the commander jerk guy, is like, I'm not going to kill you, then you'll be reborn.
Which they say like 5 times also. This is another like, repeated.
Continuously. You'll be reborn. Don't kill him. He'll be reborn. Okay, but we just learned, like, it goes...
Air, water, earth, fire. He'll be reborn into the water tribe.
Yeah. I don't know. It just bothered me. And... like, they're like, we won't kill you, over and over and over again. And it's like, but that would give you an excuse to kill the water tribe. Like,
I mean, they've been trying. The problem is trying to find where the avatar is. So the dragon spirit in the movie, in the TV show, the avatar that came directly before Aang was a Fire Nation person, right? Because it goes air, water, earth, fire, back to air. His name is Roku. He had a dragon. So like how Aang has a bison, fire people used to have dragons. Mm-hmm. So he had a dragon. So he goes back and talks to Roku, who had a pet dragon. He talks to Roku, the person avatar.
But I thought he was the person.
So he's talking to the spirit of his past, like his past lives. He can communicate with his past lives. Aang can. Yeah, so he talks to the person. I just want to like shake someone. He talks to Roku.
Well, they kind of pound
who has a dragon.
They pound it home that he is the person. Like that, he wouldn't have the ability. Like the way that they present it is like, he's like, this is when you were born into the Earthbender thing, the Earth Kingdom. You really liked games, and he's like I do too. Oh, I still do. So it's kind of driving home the point. This is him, and yes. He is reborn continuously.
Yes,
he is not like there's not an airbender each generation. There's the airbender every generation. Mm-hmm. And he is it. So it wouldn't have made sense in their scenario for him to be talking to a past self, because mm-hmm. he is his past self.
I know, but it just annoyed me. We're getting this random dragon spirit, and
it didn't make sense that there was like the moon, the ocean.
They don't do a good job of explaining the spirit
and then
world,
it was
the
like
connection.
The dragon.
Yeah.
Why? Who is the dragon? And why is he talking to an airbender?
They don't do a good job of explaining the spirit world at all, what its purpose is, why people like Iroh or Iroh. I can't say it and not like, correct it. Anyway, they don't explain it very well at all, but yes, the dragon spirit is meant to be Roku, his past lives, his former life, not pet, but like animal, mm-hmm. that he familiar, thank you, that's why I was trying to think of the word familiar, his animal familiar basically, and they don't do a good job of explaining any of that. I understand again why they don't and all that, but I have one good note actually, and it's about when Aang at the end, when he's chained up and then like the blue mask person comes in to save him.
I called him the monkey samurai. he has a monkey mask on.
I like that. They call him the Blue Spirit in the show. He's a character throughout the show. The Blue Spirit is, but I like Monkey Samurai a lot. I really like that. It's accurate. Okay, because it looks the mask looks like a monkey, and he's very agile, and he uses swords like a samurai. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when Aang and the blue mask person are both fighting, and they're like, there's a circle of firebender people mm-hmm. around them, and I actually didn't mind that scene. I enjoyed the fight scene. I didn't mind it.
My note is before that, but I'm with you.
It was good.
That scene was good, except for the fact that you learn who the monkey samurai is, and he's the prince, and he's a firebender, and he literally bends no fire.
But in the show, he explains he doesn't bend any fire because he doesn't want them to know it's Prince Zuko. He's pretending to be someone completely different. That's why he's the blue spirit. Whenever he dons the mask, he becomes a blue spirit. He's not a bender. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like his vigilante-ness.
Yes, his vigilante side, and to help keep it as far away from Zuko as possible, he doesn't show his firebending.
But if it's a character throughout a long period of the show, it would make sense. But the fact that he literally shows up in one pointless scene and then is unmasked.
I mean, that's the first time we see it.
Kind of makes it not that mysterious. They're like,
it happens in the show, but the way it happens is only Aang knows that it's Zuko. No one else knows that the blue spirit is Zuko. Only Aang finds out.
But have you heard of the blue spirit before you see that episode?
No, that's the first time. That's the
Do you hear about him afterward?
Yes.
Yeah, because
a lot. Well, not a lot, but yes, you hear about the blue spirit afterward.
Because they talk about him like the man people are calling the blue spirit is really Prince Zuko, and it's like,
no, they don't find out for a little while.
When did they call him that? He literally had one fight with them.
So that's like the birth of the blue spirit.
And his mask isn't blue; it's black.
It was blue, wasn't it?
It was black on my TV. I don't know.
I'm gonna. You know what? Even better. I'm gonna pull it up here. While we talk about other things, it's gonna get pulled up here because I thought it was blue, but maybe the show. Because I've seen the show, it kind of like...
I don't know. Most of the fire stuff was black, which I really thought was a missed opportunity in the fact that you have the Water Tribe in blue and the Fire Nation is in black with like a little bit of red, but then the Earthbenders are in green.
So in the show, it's very much like fire is red and orange, and well, no, more red because the monks are like yellow and orange, and then fire... I already said fire. I meant water. Water is blue and earth is green. People tend to dress in their distinctive colors.
Yeah, it's... But then when you have... Because the water people are in such dark blue and the fire people are in black, it was very hard to differentiate blue guys from black guys.
See, I thought... Here, I'm going to go right here. So I just pulled up the scene where he's dragging Aang, person, Avatar, out. And his mask gets hit by an arrow, stuff like that. And
but it's the same color as their mask.
See, it looks blue.
No, it doesn't look blue on my TV.
On my TV, it looks blue.
The coloring is different.
So I paused it right where Aang took the mask off. Where's his scar? He just looks normal.
You can see like the red at the top and the red at the bottom.
Yeah, that's about it.
He has some red eyeshadow on his eyelids. That's a scar.
That's you and I would have done a better scar. Here comes the arrow hitting his mask, which I don't remember getting that broken in the show because he uses it after that.
If I was in charge of the script, I would have taken this entire thing out. Like, I would have not had him go to speak with the dragon because there is nothing in here that we need to know. We don't need to know that he is the blue spirit because it plays absolutely no role in the future of the movie.
Not yet. I think they were so focused on this comes up in the series later, like in 2 and 3. I think they were so focused on that they felt they had to have a reason to have it in this one so that when they made the sequel movies, like they were very focused on doing that.
But what they could have done is introduced him as, like, skip this episode and just made him a rumor that we hear about. Put his name in there. Like, you could have the spirit that they're talking about, like, there's this blue spirit who's going around helping you or doing whatever his vigilante self does. Like, they could have basically rescue the
avatar and then take the avatar for himself is basically what the blue spirit does.
Well, that was the point.
Yeah, but that's like kind of what the blue spirit does is
they should have just cut the blue spirit from it, honestly.
I agree. Like, I agree. I'm just trying to defend him in the show, but in the movie, I agree.
In the movie, it doesn't make sense.
100%.
That whole scene doesn't make sense. Why did the jerk commander get the avatar and then lose him? You know, and like, yes, it does have the best fight scene of the movie, but literally that could have happened in some other time, some other way, or they could have just had better choreography throughout the entire movie and then we wouldn't have that problem. They would just have good fight scenes.
But I really do like that fight scene, so I think that's also why I'm trying to fight for it, because I found myself genuinely enjoying a good portion, like a good scene, and then like I could sit here and I was like, yes, this is enjoyable, I enjoy it. But yeah, no, I agree with you. In the movie, with the way they set everything up, it didn't make sense to have any of this happen. They should have just kept going toward the Northern Water Tribe and saved some time for other things that are relevant.
Yeah, I agree. And it didn't have to be this big long thing. Like, what could have happened, because the prince has been following them this entire time. He could have overtaken them, or the fire, like they could have been at one of the Earth villages, and like we have this montage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have the info dump, we have this montage of them saving the Earth villagers. One time while they're at a village, you know, the end of the montage, the fire nation gets the better of them. You know, they separate the Avatar from his friends for a bit. You know, like his friends are captured really quick. Then the blue spirit comes in, rescues them. You have that fight scene, and then something happens to the blue spirit. All of them get away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then that would have taken less time, would have been less of an info dump, would have been more action, would have been bonding. Like, it wouldn't have taken the point of view away from Katara, because it completely takes the point of view away from her. And then when he rejoins his friends, they seem so obsolete at that point. Like, because now it is about the prince and it is about Aang, and that is they're pointless at that point.
Yeah.
And
this is one instance when they really tried to take from the show, not exactly the exact same way, but they tried to take a lot from the show and put it in the movie, and it didn't match with the flow of the movie, so it made it look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it works in the show. Obviously, you have more time, you have more...
Well, because when you have anything that has a ragtag team in it, you have to, if you don't have time to develop how the relationship came to be,
Mm-hmm.
you have to show moments of them bonding.
Yes.
You have to show moments of them, you know, being proud of each other, or ragging on each other, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, you have to show the dynamics of it.
And we don't get their dynamics in
And
this
you
movie.
can do that very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Boromir and the hobbits in the Lord of the Rings, and the deleted scene where he's teaching them how to fight, and then they jump on him. Like,
that's in the theatrical.
oh, well then, good. But I'm just saying, like, that scene creates so much of the dynamic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it makes so much difference in the dynamic of the show, and it's 30 seconds
Mm-hmm.
of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you see people smiling at the situation. You see this big bad guy who, you know, not big bad person, but like, you know, he's like really warrior focused and leader, and he's kind of creepy a little bit, but then he's being so nice and gentle with these little hobbits, and they're attacking him for fun, and they're laughing, and then you see everybody else kind of watching, and like, that's the dynamic that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it created a scene. These characters never get that.
Not in the movie, no.
They
which is
don't.
so
Yeah.
sad.
In this movie, you never see them bond. It's like they're thrown together. He's like, the big brother is completely bonded to the sister because they're brother and sister, and then you have, like, what is the dynamic of that group of three people? It never explains it. You never see it. You see it start, and then it's dead in the water, with this going and talking to the dragon, so the dragon can tell you to do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
They tell you so much, and they show you so little.
Yes.
And they show you pointless things twice, or 3 times, or 10 times, and it's really annoying.
So my next thing is about so in the show, they don't have airplanes or anything yet, right? It's boat and land is the only way you can travel. And I don't remember, people who are fans of the show know better than me, let me know, but I don't remember Zhao and Ozai having as much access to each other, like, in person as fast and as easily. Like, it seems in the movie like people are able to travel a lot faster than they're able to travel in the show, if that makes sense. Like, he's able to go and have, like, an in-person with Ozai after having just captured Aang over, like, here in the Earth Kingdom area. And maybe that happens in the show and I'm forgetting it does, but to me I was like, but then he goes and he's in the water tribe. I mean, they do say it takes a few weeks because that one girl Yue mentions to Sokka, like, it's been so nice spending these few weeks with you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the pacing in this movie is so bad.
That was another timing of movie is weird. That was literally my next note. Yeah. That was, and then my next note is when Aang is being trained by the water bending master. What is your note?
My next note, so he escapes from that with help from the blue monkey. That is a good fight scene. It shows Aang's character, that he goes back to rescue the guy that saved him, because he's obviously getting overpowered. and then the guy threatens him in order to escape.
Which also happens in the show. Like, they really did take a good portion of what happened in the show and put it in the movie.
But I feel like they picked weird episodes.
I would agree.
That didn't follow along with their narrative.
I would agree with that, but that does happen in the show.
And so then he finally rejoins his friends, and, well, quote unquote friends. They haven't really done that much together. Although they technically have, we just haven't seen it. They fly to the northern nation, and then all of a sudden we have another narration from Katara. And it feels very weird because we just completely shifted point of views, and then we're supposed to come back and we're supposed to believe that Katara is now once again in charge of what's happening. She's the point of view we're following, and she literally does nothing. And then she talks about, like, how her brother and the princess became really fast friends, and it's like, you couldn't show us that. Like, that was so awkward and weird. And
I agree. I hated that narration part.
That was just a bad choice, because that was just a bad choice.
I agree. No, I really hated that. I had so much narration and voiceover. The timing is weird note in here because it was just awkward. But right after that, my note is about Aang sparring with the waterbending master.
Okay, go for it.
It's so slow paced.
Yeah.
So slow. It's like, I shall do all these moves and then make this one water thing, and then now you. No, it's very. It doesn't really show.
So you don't have to do like an entire martial arts routine in order to get one thing of water to pop up.
No, not at all. It's not showing the true. It just they change bending. They make it look like it's so much effort for just a tiny little thing. Maybe when you're starting out it takes a lot, but like even just moving your hand up, water, like a good big portion of water comes up with your hand, and then you like manipulate it. It's not like you do all these moves and then the water comes. Like, you have the water here and then your moves manipulate it.
That really makes more sense, because I kept thinking, like, what was the point of them doing the moves? Because at the beginning, when we're introduced to airbending, is when he escapes from the prince very quickly.
Yes.
And he does this move, that move, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And he gets out of the situation. And so for me, it's like, okay, it's instant. And what the movements that you're doing are the movements that are controlling the water.
Yes.
You're not saying a magic spell with your body and then all of a sudden you can move water.
No. Your movements move the water.
Yeah. That makes more sense that it would, because they kept doing these cool movements that weren't actually doing anything, and that was kind of bothering me. I was like, this does not flow well.
No, the movements move the water. You do your first move to pull the water up, and then all your movements move it, shape it, shift it however you want it to be, which makes a lot more sense, and they should have done that in the movie. They did it in the show. I don't know why they didn't pull it over to the movie. But I really
well, and first of all, it would have been faster, which when you're on a time crunch of a movie, it makes sense. Like, you would do something that was faster. Like, they had to do less, not they had to do more to do less.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense.
My next note was about the CGI fire on the warship when we finally see the warships. Did you have anything before? The warships are coming, too.
Yeah. So, Uncle Dude tells
Commander Jerk?
No, the other uncle, the nice uncle.
No, the nice uncle tells Commander Jerk.
No, when he tells the boy,
Oh, Zuko.
the prince. So the prince is like gearing up, puts on this white suit. He's obviously gonna go into this icy cold water, and he tells him, like, keep yourself tucked, keep it all the way up to your chin, and remember your cheek can warm you, all that stuff. So he goes down. Oh my goodness, you cannot see underwater. I don't know why people put this in movies. It bothered me. Like, put goggles on him, for crying out loud. Like, he cannot see underwater. He, like, dives down, goes through this tunnel, comes up in the middle of the floor, and, like, how did he find his way? He has not been there. He has no idea what he's doing, and he can't see. You can't see underwater.
Could you see underwater if, like, fire was before you?
Fire can't go before
I
you.
know. I'm just trying to tease. I'm
Fire
sorry.
needs air in order to survive.
I know. I'm just trying to tease.
There's no air underwater. I can't. It just bothers me so much. I don't understand why they keep putting it in movies that people can see underwater. Like, just put goggles on. Like, he's covered from head to toe. Like, you can come up with some sort of ancient way that they would see underwater. Like, that is not completely out of the league of possibilities here. Like, it just, it really bothered me. And then they do it, and then he comes up to this shallower spot in the ice, and he warms it using his hands, just like his uncle told him to.
Which turn red while he's doing it, which is what we wanted in Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Qui-Gon is next to the heat.
When your body is close to heat, or when your body is at extreme temperatures, say, you're swimming through ice water, it turns different colors. It will go red, sometimes it will go blue.
So at least they got that part in.
And the CGI of him swimming is really, like, that boy was not underwater.
The CGI fire on the warships that we see was not, it stood out to me as not being great. If it were a TV movie,
right?
But as a movie that was in theaters, which is where I first saw it,
it should not be in theaters.
Anyway,
like, if it was a sci-fi original movie, which is my family's low standard of CGI, is like sci-fi original movies,
which I love.
But then I would have, me and Laura have no problem with cheesy. Like, we love cheesy movies. And I feel like this could have been a really cheesy movie that you could just laugh at and be fine. And if it was a cheesy TV movie, I would have no issue with this movie. I mean, there's still plot holes and stuff, but we wouldn't be talking about it. No. The fact that this had such a huge budget, such a huge following, and such a huge scale, and still came off like a TV movie, that's the problem.
It was Shyamalan at the height of his career. Again, he could do no, if you don't remember, before 2010, he really couldn't do any wrong. His movies were amazing. And then he did Airbender, and I think it wouldn't have affected his career nearly as much if it didn't have such a strong, huge fan base.
Right. If he would have just been like, okay, well, this is his turn at a kid's movie. Okay, well, it's fine for a kid's movie, but I want his old stuff back. I feel like that would have been the reception of it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was made after this beloved TV show that people were very extremely into accuracy, because it was only one source material at the time, it just, it was not up to par of, how big it should have been.
Oh, and, sorry, we didn't mention it before, and I meant to, so I'm going to mention it here along with M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know if he wrote it. I don't know if he also cast it. But obviously, he had a final say in casting, as directors do. The different nations in the show were all based on Asian and Inuit places. It's Japanese is Fire Nation, Inuit is the Water Tribe, you have the Buddhist monks for the Air Nomads. And the Earthbenders, I forgot. Anyway, Earthbenders were in that area. And for some reason in the movie, you don't get all those different races. You get these different...
So, there was, I felt sort of in...
China. Earth Kingdom is China. There we go.
Which I felt like the Earth Kingdom looked...
They look Chinese.
They look Chinese. the water people just were white.
They were not Inuit.
Yeah, they were just white.
And the Fire Nation was Indian, not
the Fire
Japanese.
Nation was Indian, like
not Japanese.
not even kind of Japanese.
No, they were straight up Indian. And then the Airbenders are Buddhist Shaolin soldier monks.
Shaolin is
isn't that like Chinese? But like in the...
Pardon my ignorance, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know where Shaolin is.
Please also forgive my ignorance. We are trying to be very...
Yeah, the casting of this movie was not lined up with it, which I could understand. I'm not against people choosing the best actor for the role if it doesn't take away from... Yeah, they're...
So Shaolin are Chinese as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they should... So... Aang should have looked basically kind of the same region as the Earthbenders, because the Airbenders would have been somewhat close to the
yes.
Earthbenders.
The Water Tribe needed to be Inuit, which we know as like Eskimo.
Yeah. And
then the Fire Nation is based off Imperial Japan, so they needed to have Imperial Japanese clothing and people who were of Japanese descent, because it's Imperial Japan.
And I can understand, like, probably what happened was they cast the people that they wanted to, and then they're like, okay, well, we have to build the tribes around their race so that they fit in with their circle. Yeah. So they probably cast the two white brother and sister, and we're like, okay, well, now their tribe has to be white. And then they probably cast the prince, and we're like, okay, well, how is he believably going to have a Japanese family? And then, and then the Earth they didn't really have to worry about, because there's not a main character in this movie that has Earth. And Aang,
I can't tell if he's white or like mixed race with Asian. He kind of looks like he could be.
I honestly think he's just white. And
you think he's just white?
And the way that they have styled and dressed and the shaved head makes him look
a bit more Asian. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked into the actors or anything like that. That would be my thought process as to why. My only issue with that, personally, is that I don't think that they necessarily got the best actors for the roles.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to cast two different movies.
We already talked about Dragon Spirit. The meditation information. So he's going to the really sacred spot, right? Is your note before that or after?
My note is that of literally it talks about, like, we have this weird info dump of they've been there for weeks. Why the heck does he wait until the ships are literally coming and attacking the city before he's like, oh, I need to meditate to figure out how to use my powers better? Like, really? You've been here for weeks. Why the heck have you not been meditating? Why did you not go talk to the fire spirit as soon as you got there? Like, the fire spirit or the dragon spirit literally said, go to this place. It's your job to go to this place. Which, again, I would have taken out. But he would have gotten there and immediately spoken to the spirits. Like, why did he not do that? And then he's like, oh, we go into a trance and we can meditate for days. And it's like, wow, that is such a plot convenience. Like, I can't even handle
unnecessary information at that time. I was like, why is all this information necessary at the time? And yes, in the show, he does go and meditate. I can't remember why it takes him so long to go. I think he doesn't realize he needs to go seek anything out until then. I can't remember the end of season 1. I'm sorry, everyone. For whatever reason, the last couple episodes of season 1 are like blurry to me. But he does go and meditate in there. It makes sense in the show because, again, you have more time to figure out why everything's happening. But it's different. And this, like, information dump, why do we need to know that monks can meditate up to 4 days? Like,
here's the thing. Because the stupid thing is that he waited until the ships were attacked. Like, they got there. They're like, oh, the ships are... Like, they know from the very beginning. We know from her narration that the ships are coming. They're going to be there. So everybody's preparing for war. And then the ships get there, and he's like, oh, I need to meditate. So and then he explains that they could meditate for days. So it's like, okay, why didn't you have that conversation if they could meditate for days? He goes in there, and he's meditating for days, and then the Fire Nation shows up.
I know. It's ridiculous how they do it in the movie. It really is.
Like, that would have made so much more sense. That would have, like, the information that you're giving there would have actually been pertinent, and it wouldn't have made you look like an idiot for taking time out of a battle. Like, you had plenty of time, and then you're like now deciding when we're down to the 11th hour, oh, I need to go meditate for a few days. It's just, protect me. Don't go out and fight for your family and your beliefs and stuff. And then it's a plot device so that the prince guy can kidnap him because he's meditating and is not defending himself. And
which again happens in the show. Katara does stay with him because your spirit leaves your body to go communicate with the spirit world. And if you come back and your body's not there, you have nowhere to connect with. Mm-hmm. So she's guarding his body. She's left there specifically for that purpose. That is her job in the war. Or battle, I mean. And, you know, Zuko does come. They do fight. It's a bit more epic from what I remember in the show, the fight. But they fight. She does get knocked out. He does gently lead her. Again, they, like, pull things from the show, but it's always just, like, these really weird kind of things that don't seem to mesh with the rest of the movie and its flow. So it kind of takes away from, oh, nice, they really did stay close to the show for some of these scenes away because it's kind of just awkwardly placed in.
Yeah, exactly. It's very obvious that it had a source material that was episodes. Yes. That was not a cohesive long one story. Each little story had a beginning, middle, and end. And you're trying to have a beginning, middle, and end in the middle of a big story when you're only trying to tell one story.
It's difficult. They didn't pull it off very well.
Yeah.
I have a good note. Mm-hmm. The waterbending master, during the battle, we get to see like a shot of him, or a clip of him, excuse me, fighting. And he has like these kind of arms that are coming up like I call them octopus arms. I actually didn't mind that look. I thought that looked cool. It finally looked like he had power. It looked like he, when he moved, the water moved. It looked like he finally kind of got it down.
My biggest issue comes back to the fact that the fire people can't, or that benders cannot create things. They can't create their element, and the firebenders couldn't create fire. We are literally surrounded by water and water benders. They throw these big giant balls of fire so that the fire people have fire to fight with, but you're literally controlling like oceans of water, or like the river, like the ice. Their city is made of ice, which they can bend.
Oh yes.
There's puddles and lakes of water all around them, so they have tons of, like, why did you not put out the freaking ball of fire? Why did you have torches in your streets in the first place? Like, because they talk about their strategy of war is to keep fires to a minimum. Why have fires at all?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have, like, I understand they need light, but do they?
Again, in the show, the firebenders create fire, so whether or not you have fire,
so it would
they're
make
not
sense,
gonna...
but yeah, it didn't make sense at all, and
stupid.
Water would have won that fight very quickly and very easily.
Even
Water
before
would have won
the night when the moon came up.
Yeah, they wouldn't have needed the spirit. They wouldn't have needed the extra oomph. You could literally just put out all the fire.
Yeah.
They could have got on that wall. All the benders got up on that wall and done what Aang did and put the wall of water and put out their fires.
I think what they were trying to do was show that Aang was the most powerful bender of them all, so he's the only one who could really do that, even if you got all the benders together. But if you got all the benders together, they probably could do something.
Well, they don't even have to do something like that. All you have to do is put out the fire.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to drown the ships. You don't have to have a giant wall of water.
Just put out the
threatening. Fire. Just put out the fire. Like, that's literally all they had to do, because they don't have the power. Like, and there's only so many, like, at this point in history and this point of technology, there's only so many things that create fire. You know, you have to have a spark, you have to have fuel for it. Like, that's all you gotta do. Your water. You know, the easiest way to put out a fire? Water.
It's kind of like going back to the earthbending prison again. They're surrounded by earth.
How are you surrounded by earth and all you have to do is earth puts out fire? If you dump a bunch of dirt on a fire, it will go out.
Again, in the show, they were on a metal ship in the middle of the ocean. They couldn't figure out how to bend metal and water because they're earthbenders.
Anyway, moving on.
So, okay, I just have to mention really quickly, Katara has a really weird introduction to Zuko, where she's like, my name is Katara, and I'm the only bender left in the southern... Why are you telling him you're the only bender left in the Southern Water Tribe?
They were making it like a Moana moment of like, I am Moana, this is my cause, this is my person, this is my title. But it
It
didn't
just
come
didn't
off
work.
that way.
No, it didn't work.
But not when
You're
you're in
not
the middle of
Moana.
the battle.
Also, they start singing "Whoo" to start the battle. The Water Tribe people do.
Oh, I was going to ask about that if that was a thing.
I don't think so. I don't remember. Again, I don't know why the last 2 episodes of season 1 are just like completely very blurry to me. I don't. Maybe it's because I always binge it, and so by then my brain's just like overloaded. But I don't remember anyone singing "Who." It reminds me of, if you've ever seen Big Bang Theory, whenever Amy likes someone, she goes "Who." That's what it reminded me of.
I was reminded very much of Lord of the Rings because of
Instead of a horn, they have
and you know, there's this battle happening where, you know, the bad guys are, you know, charging the wall, and you have this shot of them all. It was a cinematic ripoff, but
yeah, I agree. I just watched Lord of the Rings as well. I was like, if that was a horn instead of someone singing, they probably would have to pay Peter Jackson copyright.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my note was, okay, so they go into the temple, how, like, somehow the spirit temple is not guarded. The big bad jerk commander dude comes into the place.
Yes.
Very early on in the battle, and kills the fish that is the spy. And that's where we get the moment of, this scroll is from the secret library. We're going to use it to fight the Luna spirit. Or the moon spirit. And it's like, okay, we
You
know.
told us that so many times.
I know. I know more about the secret library than like I ever wanted to. Stop talking about the secret library. So he says that thing, and then he actually finds his way because of the scroll from the secret library. He knows how to find them, and he knows how to kill the fish that is the moon spirit. And we found out earlier in the very, very rushed romance of the princess and the brother that she was given life by the moon spirit because she was born asleep, is how she said it, which was a very awkward conversation.
It goes much better. Again, I knew I was going to say it the whole movie. It goes better in the show.
Because here's the thing. So we get the telling, the voiceover of the brother likes the princess. They become fast friends. Then we see them and we get the info dump of they've been there a few weeks and they're holding hands. So obviously they're a couple. And then you get this cute little conversation of them talking about, like, well, my grandma's going to ask you a bunch of questions. And then he stops his sentence there, and it really bothers me. That was not a complete thought. And then she takes her sweet time like responding to him. What kind of questions would she ask me? Like, it would have made sense that his sentence stopped there if she had interrupted him. And then they have that moment, and then you find out that she was born asleep, and that's why the moon spirit saved her. That's why her hair is white. So now that the fish is dead and the water people are, you know, losing now because they don't have the moon anymore, the princess has to give up her life in order to bring the moon spirit back, because the moon spirit is in her because it gave her life. Yes. So now she's giving her life back to give him life, or her life. I don't know if the moon spirit is male or female. And it's a fish.
It's a spirit fish.
Yeah. So to give this fish back its life. And so you have this really sad moment between these two people, and I'm like, I kind of wish that this romance had been a subplot. Like, that there had actually been a plot for this romance, because that would have hit a lot harder, because you're just told he likes her. Then we get the shot of, oh, I'll be her guardian. I was like, yeah, I bet you will. And it was like, oh, now we're in love. And now you're dying. Yeah. It was so rushed. And because, once again, that actor was in a teen drama, he knew how to act a teen drama. He knew how he was doing it the entire time. And that moment could have been so good, but it was so forced that it didn't work. And then you just are like, okay, guess she did now. And then her hair turns brown and it's no longer white. Mm-hmm. And she goes in, she gives up her spirit. They bring her out. I don't know if she's dead or not.
Yes.
She's dead?
Well, she is no longer a human. She is now the moon spirit. The moon spirit is now Yue.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that because of the show. They say her name like once, I think, in the movie.
They say it a couple times, but the way he says it, it just sounds like he's saying you.
Oh yeah, it's Yue.
Yeah. And I was like, because I was, like I said, I was watching it with closed captions, and he kept saying it. I kept trying to figure out what he was like. What is her name? Because like I could see it written out, but then it just sounded like he was saying you, and then sometimes it didn't sound like he was saying anything at all.
Yue.
So, Yue. Okay.
Yeah, Yue. Yue is now the moon spirit. So I have some notes that kind of go before that.
Okay.
The scene where Aang wakes up, he says, "The dragon spirit, talk to me. I know what to do." And Katara goes up to him, looking concerned as always, and says, "We have to go." And then they leave. That happens when she goes, after she rescues him from Zuko and, like, captures him in ice, right? It's such a weird, he's like, "The dragon spirit, talk to me. I know what to do." And instead of being like, "Okay, what do we need to do? Like, let's go here and talk about it," she's like, "We have to go." And they leave. And so I'm like...
So my thought process of that is she capsules the prince in ice, right?
Yeah.
And then Aang comes back and he melts his head.
Yeah.
So that
he doesn't die.
And then he takes a second to be like, "They're not going to kill you if you stay here. So basically just stay here. We could have been friends."
Mm-hmm.
Had he melted the head, explained something to him, then she came and was like, "Aang, we need to go."
That would make more sense.
That would actually, well, it would make sense, period. Instead of, "I know what I need to do," and then take a pause, dramatic pause, look him in the eye, say his name, "We need to go." Like,
it just made no sense. I cringed. I literally cringed.
Editing, people, editing.
And then... what else did I have? Iroh doesn't physically try to stop Zhao. He's standing there right next to him, telling him. Zhao takes out the knife, and he's just still standing a couple feet away from him, just telling him, like, "No, don't." Forcefully, but just telling him. He doesn't try to physically stop Zhao from killing the moon spirit fish.
Not even kind of.
No, not even a little bit. Not even like, "I'm about to go toward you." Nothing.
The thing of it is like, he told the audience first, then he told the uncle, then he told the uncle again, and then he told the uncle again, and then he actually has the fish in a pillowcase, and like, at what point was the uncle like, I wonder if he's gonna do this? Like, stop him. Tell him no. Give your big old speech at the beginning, like when he says, "We're gonna kill the fire, like we're gonna kill the spirit." Be like, "No, that's a bad plan."
Yeah.
Like,
which I'm pretty sure he does in the show. If I remember correctly, he does tell him, like, it doesn't... he says something to the effect, like, even though the moon gives waterbenders power, like, if you take away the moon, you throw everything out of balance.
Like,
because the moon is gone.
That information would have been good the second you found out he was planning that. Why did you follow him in there? Let him capture the fish and then give a speech about it.
And doesn't even try to physically try to stop him. And the thing is, in the show, you know that Iroh is a very powerful firebender. I don't think it's until the end that you see just how powerful. Maybe earlier in the show, but you know he's powerful. You finally kind of get to see how scared other people are when he creates fire out of nothing, which in the show they can all do, but in the movie they can't. So they're scared and they run away. To be fair, in the show he really does show how powerful he is, and that's why they try to fight him and get beaten, so they run away. But it's a little more epic. I thought it was so weird to just stand there and just tell him not to do the thing, but don't try to physically stop him.
No,
just be.
You want to show your awesome power? Maybe do it before he throws off the entire universe and gravity and all that stuff.
Yes, 100%.
Part of
fight out of order. Oh yes, I remember what that note is about. Okay, we have a flashback. Aang has a flashback to his training. I feel like it's the bad time to have a flashback to that montage.
And like, they do so much exposition of each character badly that, like, why didn't we see this type of stuff, say, when he was talking about it?
Right?
Or when he was, like, flying. Like, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, you should have taken out the monkey samurai scene and actually put in stuff that connected you to because this is a connecting moment in his life. Like, this is connecting the audience to him. Like, this poor kid is putting on so much responsibility and he can't handle it, and like, that is something that's going to connect us to this kid. This is literally the end of the movie.
And we're finally getting
And we're finally connecting with this kid? What? That's not how that works. That's not how storytelling goes.
No.
And we're gonna...
Yes.
Okay, so my next note is the water wall that he makes.
Okay, so this battle is out of order from the show.
Well, it doesn't make sense, so I'm glad.
So what happens is the moon spirit dies. The ocean spirit gets very mad. Goes with Aang. I can't remember if the fish actually goes or if the spirit kind of is just like, because it's the ocean spirit, like the ocean. Combines with Aang. He goes into the avatar state, which is what happens when his tattoos glow and he becomes freakishly powerful. In the avatar state, he doesn't even have to have mastered all 4 elements. He can just do them because the avatar state is all his former lives come together. So he's like hundreds of these benders put together. So he's the most powerful person. He creates a ocean shield around him. So it looks like it's a giant ocean monster with all the elements floating around him. He has fire floating around him. He has earth. He, of course, has air. And he's a giant water monster. And he goes and starts attacking the ships because the ocean spirit is like, how dare you kill the moon spirit, my mate or friend or sink person, yin to my yang, or yang to whichever one the moon spirit is. They're called yin and yang, push and pull. Yeah. So he's like, how dare you kill my other half? And like the ocean spirit and Aang are just going at the ships. That's this giant ocean monster with these rocks and fire and air flying all around them. And then the moon spirit comes back and it helps calm the ocean spirit. The ocean is like, oh, okay, the moon's back. We shall be calm now. That's what happens in the show.
That's not what happened in the movie.
No,
that's not what I saw.
To a giant ocean monster.
No, it's like, it basically becomes like, oh, they killed the moon spirit. That's an inconvenience. Well, we'll kill our princess. Now he's back. Okay, battle on. Like, it really didn't change a whole lot other than it kills the princess, which they really could have just killed the princess, honestly.
It's out of order. And then oh, no, this is near the end. I'm sorry. You have notes before then.
So the water wall I actually thought was cool because, like, the dragon tells him you're not supposed to attack people. Like, that's not what the avatar's meant to do. It's meant to protect, not to attack people. And so he builds this giant wall of water and just kind of hovers it over them and is like, hey, I can kill you. And then he puts it down and they run away. So it serves its purpose. But I was actually... Okay, and I know that it's bad, but I was actually glad that they killed the jerk commander guy.
Yeah.
I was glad that they killed him. The way that they killed him was a little graphic for a kid's movie, and it kind of shocked me into like, wait, is this a kid's movie? Is this a war movie? I don't know. And so, because like I said,
no one knows.
He's one of the characters that bounces back and forth. He has super cheesy lines and super cheesy moments, and then he has serious, good acting moments, and then he has this serious death, and I'm just like...
Again, what genre do you want this movie? Yes. But how dark do you want it? Yes. How many kids do you want? Yes. Like,
who is the audience for this show? Yeah, so that was kind of the problem. It was jarring. Like, you're literally watching these people fight, but you don't see any death. You don't see any, like, real serious stakes and percussions, and then all of a sudden you see him die. And you see him die. Like, it's not, like, alluded to. Like, you see him die. He flops down on the... Like, he is drowned. He's flopped down on the ice, dead.
Yes.
And then they tell you he's dead because you can't just believe of flopping down on the ice. You know, they have to tell you like 3 times. So they tell you that he's dead.
Yeah.
And then you have... So I was kind of glad that they did that. One, because I wanted to punch him throughout the majority of the movie.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a really good bad guy in that you hate him and want him gone.
Yeah, like, I hated him. And, like, when he's, like, talking to the uncle, and he's like, don't worry, your epic failure at this battle, like, will not be held against you. Your son died in that battle, didn't he? My condolences on the fact that your nephew is, you know, shunned and evil and all that, like,
and is now dead as well.
And is now, died in the fire. That's what he says. He's like, and my condolences that he died in that tragic accident. And it's just like, I want to throw you off the ship. And then when the uncle says thank you, ooh, I just was like, you just said so many things, and then he had to thank you. Oh, I hate you. I hate you so much, and I'm glad you drowned. Like, I was glad that they killed him because,
yeah.
But at the same time, it was weird in a kid's movie.
The way it was done, yeah. They didn't do the classic Disney, like, falling to death. You don't really see it, but you know it happened.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing that Disney does for their movies.
He, like, we see the moment of death. Yes. Like, he's in a bubble, like a CGI bubble of water. And they drown him. And then you see him lose life in the bubble, and then they, like, drop him, and he's like, well, and he's all, like, falls, and the way that he falls is not a way you would fall if you were alive.
Yeah, it's
dead. It's very graphic.
For a kid's movie, absolutely. Yes.
And then we have the moment of, I have like the very end of the movie. So not the, like, when battle's over, we have sort of what's supposed to be a parallel of all of the airbenders bowing to him, and then we have water, and then you have the fire people that were stuck in, because a lot of the fire people got stuck in the water tribe, the city. A lot of the fire soldiers got stuck there, and then you see them all unite and bow to the little boy, and then his friends, which once again they weren't really that close in this movie, that you have them, they go and they bow as well. And then he, instead of like in the flashback where he ran away, he actually does his little move thingy and kind of bows back to them. Then they do this close up. And that is the scaredest child I have ever seen. And they just linger on this petrified little boy.
It's like
for way too long.
Like, I am in charge of this war now. I am 12. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, it was just like, it's the scaredest little boy, and I feel so bad for that little boy.
Which I think was really what Shyamalan was trying to get at, but it was weird.
It was too long.
Yeah.
It should have been like, confidence, ooh, scared.
Yeah.
Blackout. It was like, scared. Okay, I get it. He's scared. Leave him alone.
Like, let it be.
But yeah, it was on him way too long. And then we get to the very end of the movie where the fire bad guy, Fire Lord, who we've seen way too much in this movie, talking to someone, saying how they're going to take up the mantle of the jerk and the son because the prince is a failure, his brother's a weirdo and
traitor,
and the other guy's dead. So you're the only one left to do this. And we've already heard the prince talk about his sister as like a prodigy, because he was rambling on to Aang while Aang was unconscious. And so we know that the sister is like a prodigy firebender and is amazing. And then it shows her as the person that is obviously going to be the next bad guy in the next movie, which will never happen. So
also she was acting in a Nickelodeon original movie. She was not acting Paramount.
Oh no, she was not in a Paramount movie.
No, she was in the Nickelodeon original. She had this really weird accent. She could, yes, father, like an over exaggerated English accent.
Yeah, and that was the end of the movie. And I was like, okay.
You obviously thought you were going to do 3 movies.
Obviously they thought they were going to have the entire trilogy fleshed out. Obviously they set up a lot of stuff.
Oh yes, that never came to fruition because it's
supposed
movie 2 or 3.
Movie 2 and 3. And you set up a new bad guy. But then at the end of it, I was just like, what did I just watch? Like, did I just watch a kid's movie? Did I watch a war movie? Did I watch a teen drama? Did I watch, like, some stylized fantasy? Like,
the answer is yes.
And I just...
What did I watch? Yes. Which genre?
Yes.
That's the name of the genre. We're going to call it yes. When you can't decide where it fits in, the genre is yes.
Just for all of you creators out there, if you want to tell a story and you don't know what genre it fits in or what the age range of the people reading it are, get an editor, make a decision, And if it still doesn't come out, tell a different story. Like,
don't go into the genre of yes.
Yeah, don't go into the genre of yes. Don't hire actors who are in different movies. Don't, yeah. All right.
So this is Laura signing off.
And this is Taya signing off. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you next time.